What up, what up? Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about crowdfunding and how to raise money successfully from the crowd, and also how to bring a new product into the world, how to bring a new idea from your head into the universe. And one of the most critical components of doing that is to actually get feedback on that product, on that prototype, on that physical product, which you've been working on, which you've been trying to then turn into an actual real product that other people are using around the world. So in today's video, we are talking about how the heck do you get feedback, real world feedback on your actual product, your prototype, and what do you do from there? We're getting into that today, and it's coming up in just a second. All right, man, again, my name is Salvador Briggman, and welcome back to this channel. If you've been watching some of my other videos out there, you've been enjoying the work, the education, really the focus that I have when it comes to empowering creators out there, helping you reach your full potential, give me a thumbs up on this video so that other people know this is worth their time. Okay, so let's get into this sucker, right? When it comes to getting product or prototype feedback, what are some of the easy ways to go about doing that? We're gonna be going through that in depth in today's training video, as well as what are you gonna do once you got that feedback, right? It's amazing to have feedback, but really what do you do after that point in time? So I would recommend that for anyone who is getting feedback on a product or a prototype, that you really start this journey with a product document of some kind. Now I talk about this in my free course of how to actually go out there and make a product. You should always have a product document. This way you can have a more of a scientific way of getting qualitative and quantitative feedback when it comes to your actual product. In addition, if you actually go out there and you also create some standardized questions, it's gonna help things dramatically when it comes to getting product or prototype feedback. So the first little bit here, I would say, as an action item, we'll say, this is sort of before the actual point of getting different ways of getting feedback. Create a product document, okay? Or have standardized, I'm gonna say standardized questions. Okay, so this will allow you to be, like I said, a little bit more scientific in the way that you're gathering data. Qualitative data is just like a really fancy word for what people are saying in their opinions, right? Their thoughts. Quantitative data might be more objective when it comes to measuring numbers or analytics or those kinds of things that go into the actual product, or rating things on a specific scale, right? Different ways of gathering those two. A product document, all that I mean when it comes to product document is really, a simple document that goes through the benefits, the pros, what you anticipate the use case to be, right, when it comes to the product. What is the purpose? What is the problem it's trying to solve? What are the features and the functionality of that product, and also what are the benefits? And again, we talk about that in my free course, How to Make a Product, which I will link up down below as well, as you can learn more about that course. So let's get into a couple of different items here. So I think when it comes to this, for a beginning designer, maybe you're a designer, maybe you're a creator, maybe you're an inventor, you're an engineer, or you could be none of the above, right? You could be like a marketer or an idea person, and you're relying on other people to help you every step of the way when it comes to getting the product done, the actual timeline behind the product. The first way that I see most beginning creators start, and they're kind of pros and cons here. So we're gonna go through one section here. It's gonna be pros, okay? And we'll also do some cons. So this way we can kind of get a more sophisticated evaluation tool. So first one is going to be friends and family. Now there are pros and cons to this, obviously, and some of y'all might have a good family, some of you might have a challenging relationship with your family, right? Some people might have great friends, other friends are kind of more contextual in nature, maybe not necessarily professional friends, right? But ones you love hanging out with, or a couple of buddies. So the great thing about friends and family is that it's really easy access, right? You can literally just show the prototype to them, or your product idea or your product document, and get their thoughts on it. So fast to do. However, there's also that anxiety, that fear, right, that comes with actually doing this. And that's usually because sometimes your friends and family can say not the nicest things, or even worse, they don't take you seriously, right? So some of the pros, like I would say here, would be easy, okay, fast, very accessible. One of the biggest cons is the fact that they might not take it seriously, right? They might just be like, oh, this is such a stupid idea, or like another one of these, or like, doesn't something like this exist on Amazon, or well, isn't there something already out there, or like, oh my gosh, this is such a waste of your time, right? People can say very negative things in the beginning piece of the creative process, and for that reason, many beginning product creators don't like to show it to their friends and family, because they know, well, if this person kind of hurts my feelings, or they're not taking it seriously, it might really demoralize me and prevent me from taking it to the next step. So the cons are that it might not be necessarily great feedback. So we'll say the quality of feedback, right, might be kind of not so great, or you might have some people that don't take it seriously. okay? On the plus side though, if you are willing to do this, and I think that making money, building a business, bringing a new product into the world, impacting other people worldwide with your product, it takes courage, right? It takes real guts, real courage to want to get this baby out there, right? It's almost like you're having a child, right? It's like you're getting this baby out there. So sometimes you're willing to stomach a little bit of it, but always view their feedback through a certain lens, which is, okay, that's what they're saying. That's what they think. However, you should also evaluate, which we're going to be talking about in point number 3, which is actually one of the most critical points here. So anyway, friends and family is an easy way to get started. People that you know, second-degree connections, those kinds of things, right? Like I said, I would recommend, if you can, putting together a standardized list of questions. This is also going to help them take it much more seriously, because then you're forcing them to go through an evaluation versus just kind of telling you what's off the top of their head. And they might not even think or consider certain problems or use cases. So this really helps it really be a much more stronger evaluation and taking it a little bit more seriously. And then you could see, okay, is the way in which my friends and family say they would use this or not use this, or their thoughts, does it actually sync up with my objectives, the features, the benefits, the problems that it solves when it comes to your product document? Okay, number 2, and again, this is really easy. Anyone who's living in this year, no matter what age you are, whether you're in your 40s or your 50s, or you're in your 30s, or even you're younger, right? My gosh, we have so much at our disposal as entrepreneurs, inventors, artists, creative types. We have access to social media. Oh my gosh, social media. This is like the gold rush, dude. And the reason why is that it's so easy to reach out to people that you don't even know. So there are a lot of things that go into social media. So obviously there's like the major social networks out there. So we'll say here, for example, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, right? Instagram, TikTok. There are so many out there when it comes to getting feedback on a particular product idea or a prototype of some kind, or kind of even just what you're considering when it comes to helping people with the problems in their life. In addition, there are also groups, okay? Social media groups. And this is different from like a social media page that you have maybe on Facebook. This could be groups related to LinkedIn groups. There are Facebook groups. There are also Reddit groups, right? Different subreddits that are out there. There's online forums. There are so many different types of online groups out there. You could actually post this and say, hey, would you use this? Hey, what's your biggest problem when it comes to your specific industry? For example, let's just say that you're creating a new backpack, right? Hey, when you last time you went on your camping trip, what type of backpack do you use? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? You can even use social media to do research as well to see what people are posting about a particular backpack brand. Or you can go even more in depth into, like, for example, Amazon, and start to look at some of the 5, some of the 4, 3, 2-star reviews and begin to get a little bit of commonality of what people like and don't like about specific products. So social media is incredibly powerful. This is like putting your marketing on steroids, right? You can really use this to get feedback from people all over the world, and also use it as an investigative and a research tool. So the biggest pro, again, is that it's easy. Anyone can do it. The other one I would say when it comes to pro is that there's a high amount of leverage, right? So you can spend your time and you can really get a much bigger reach when it comes to social media than if you were to just do this right in person. The biggest con, the biggest downside is that it requires that hustle, dude. You gotta spend your time, you gotta invest, maybe after work or during the weekends. You're not gonna go out with your friends on a Friday night, and you gotta spend some time combing through social media, posting things on social media, engaging in Facebook groups, engaging in LinkedIn groups, right? And a lot of people that are beginning creators are just also asking questions. But you could, if you want to be more sophisticated, like I talked about before, have a product document and have some standardized questions that you can then use to really powerhouse this and to make it much more sophisticated in that way. So the downside is that it takes your time. It's a lot of investment of time, and it doesn't always work. Some people might not reply to your messages. Heaven forbid, someone might not reply to your Instagram DM, right? Someone might not reply when it comes to your Facebook if you're posting that, or they might be like, this is a stupid idea. You're still gonna get people who maybe don't take it seriously, and it's gonna take time for you to really filter that through and get some quality responses. So time, again, we said here, and I'll also say /quality. Hopefully you guys can read my writing. I got a little bit of challenge when it comes to my writing. So much nowadays is just writing, like when it comes to online writing. Like I've written 10 books. I've pretty much put all of my books, actually, the initial ones I started out actually hand scribing and transcribing like my thoughts and all that kind of stuff and putting together outlines on like yellow notepads. And I quickly learned I could not even read my own writing, right? So eventually then I started to get more sophisticated with like writing books and that kind of stuff. I have great books out there on like Kickstarter, on crowdfunding. I'm thinking about creating some more books on marketing, right? So I have a ton of free information and low quality or low entry level information when it comes to that with my books, etc. So social media is number 2. Number 3 is what I mentioned, which is actually one of the most critical, in my opinion. It's almost like a rite of passage when it comes to beginning creators that are out there. And it is probably also the one of the most scary, the most anxiety producing. But if you're willing to do this, my gosh, I'm telling you, you are serious about your product or about your prototype idea. And that's in-person feedback, okay? And actually, I'm gonna give you a reason number 4 that's gonna even be, I'd say even more powerful than all of these combined. So that's actually gonna be really cool. But number 3, in-person feedback, okay? So go and listen to some of the episodes of my podcast. I actually have a really great podcast out there from an individual who invented a completely new product. And what did he do? He actually went to a mall in his local area and he asked people to give him feedback on it. And he interviewed people and he put them through a standardized list of questions. That was for the product Quilby, which you can go and check out on my podcast. A lot of great episodes that I have out there on my show, Crowdfunding Demystified. I think we have over 200 episodes. Tons of people have positively reviewed that show. And I love bringing on real world entrepreneurs, talking with them. So you can really begin to surround yourself with other people that are experiencing success in the same way that you want to. And the more that you do that, the more these results become real. Once you become a student of this craft, a student of building a product, a student of crowdfunding, a student of making a brand actually occur, making something out of thin air, right? A new brand in the world. This is a process that you can learn. And the more that you become a student of it, the more you're likely to get those results that you want. So when you're getting in-person feedback, what are a couple quick ways or ideas in which you can get in-person feedback? So one would be to be, for example, going to more industry-related events, so like conventions, right? Or thinking about networking groups, right? These are all easy ways in which you can go out there. You can also go in person, in the field, right? And to get feedback from real users. There are tons of other ways in which you can do this. For example, if you want to go to more of like a trade show or you want to go to a different event when it comes to that, there's so many different types of products as well. Maybe if like a tabletop or a board top game, you're probably then going to go to a tabletop game convention to get feedback on it. If you have more of like electronics product, right, you're probably going to go to somewhere where there's more like electronic shows, right? The Consumer Electronics Show or something like that. So there's conventions, there's networking, there's in the field, and there's seeking out users, okay? So seeking out users. So what do I mean by users? Okay, so users are basically the end user of your product. They're the people that you're trying to, with your product document, solve their problem. You're trying to make their life better in some way, right? It's like you are inventing fire. You are like a modern day god and you are inventing fire and you're gonna give this to people, right? Like Prometheus, right? You're giving them the fire to be able to solve problems in their life and come up with really cool, innovative solutions or new ways of thinking about concepts. So the big thing with in-person feedback is that you are spending so much time actually doing this. Think about this. Not only are you generating a list of questions, not only are you actually going out there in person, but you're also interviewing them, assessing that quality of feedback, sort of combing through and really making sure you can get some really good quantitative and qualitative feedback on the product, and also maybe even filming it or recording it as well, going through and sifting through that. So there's a lot of time that goes into getting in-person feedback. So if you're going to do that, my friends, make sure you're crystal clear about the person that you're going to be targeting, the actual user. And the more that you can use real users, people that actually suffer from the problem that your product solves, the more it's gonna be worth your time when it comes to in-person feedback. So some of the pros and the cons here. So this kind of syncs up here. We'll just say 1, right? This is 2, okay? Let's make sure that that's a little bit more readable. This is number 3. So these sync up the pros and the cons to these points here. So number 3, right? In-person feedback. What are some of the pros? Are that you can see things like reactions, which are very difficult to fake. You can record, so you can actually use this at a future point in time. You can have follow-up questions, right? not just doing something like on social media, right? And having people maybe do one reply or something like that. So there's a lot you can do when it comes to pros, and you can also get real users or people who experience the problem. The biggest con that I see with in-person feedback is that it just takes a heck of a lot of time. And let's be honest here, we're all adults, right? We're all adults here who are aspiring to be courageous innovators, inventors, entrepreneurs, right? It's scary, dude. It is freaking scary to go up to someone you don't know, to talk to a stranger, to be like, hey man, what do you think about this, right? It's really scary for many people that are out there, particularly if you're more of like an introvert or you're an engineer or you're more of like an indoor kind of a person, right? Someone who's working behind the screen and a laptop, totally understand it. However, if you want to actually go out there and achieve success in your life, you have to be willing to confront that fear, push past it, and become an executor on this journey. And if you're willing to do that, I will label you as courageous. So these are a couple of ideas. However, number 4 that I'm about to mention is literally the way to supercharge this entire process. It is literally the most powerful. It almost combines different elements of all of these. And we haven't even gotten to some of the other ones as well. So this is a lot of information. I'm gonna include a blog post down below that actually has all of this. So you can actually go out there and you can research this, you can bookmark that, and you can make sure you look at that as well on your own time, as well as the free course that I mentioned is how to make a product. Okay, so number 4 is to use a tool. Software is a way to kind of leverage our time to make it so that we're not spending as much time in order to achieve certain results. And if you think about it, if you're a caveman, right? Back in the day, if you were a caveman and maybe you have a certain way of like accomplishing a task. So let's just say you're trying to like cut down a tree, right? And the old way to do it was like to maybe have some fire underneath the tree and have a couple of really strong guys to try and push this thing over, right? With enough time, eventually get the sucker to push over. And then what? They invented the chainsaw. And now all of a sudden you got like this really useful tool. It just kind of, right, goes right through the tree like a lightsaber or something like that. So tools can make you more effective, more deadly, and in many ways get you results much faster. And one of the best tools that I found to get product and prototype feedback is this tool called Feedback Jack. So I'm actually gonna link to this down below. And once I discovered this incredible tool, I actually formed a partnership with the creator of that tool. So this is now a joint endeavor, and you can learn more about this at Feedback Jack, which I will link up again down below. But this is a tool where you can actually get real world people that are taking surveys, that are giving you feedback on your prototype or your product idea, and they're doing it literally in a matter of minutes. This is also real-time feedback. And you can do this as many times as you want. You can have people around the nation giving you real feedback quickly. You don't have to go out there and you have to hunt them down. You have to spend that much time. All you have to do is use either some of our templates when it comes to different questions or come up with them yourself. And all of a sudden you got all of that qualitative and quantitative feedback that you need immediately. So go and check out this tool, Feedback Jack. But the way to actually make this even more useful for you is to really think about, again, the demographic that you're going after. When you're using this tool, be sure to think about, okay, what is the demographic I'm going after? What are the questions that I want to have answered? And once you have all of these answers beginning to pile in, it's almost like an avalanche, right? You then have to think about, okay, how am I going to use that data to then make more decisions about the product or about the market or about really the market testing in general, which I'm doing. So maybe, am I going to go back to the drawing board? Is this just an idea, right? And I'm using this tool, Feedback Jack, in order to get feedback on my idea? Is it more so it is an actual prototype and more so trying to get an understanding of how users would use this? Is it maybe even getting a sense of the design or the feel, the look, right? The colors. Really think about the way in which you want to use that tool, because you can go through this process again and again and again, and you can get some really powerful iterative feedback. So number 4, numero cuatro, right? I'm in Miami here. In Miami, Florida, like Spanish is like a second language. I'm actually adopted from El Salvador, so I only started learning Spanish probably a couple of years ago, honestly. So I'm like intermediate with my Spanish, but Spanish is like a second language here. So number 4, numero cuatro. In terms of the pros of using a tool like Feedback Jack, it's real-time feedback. You can specify the audience. You can get really good granular information here, and it can be fast, right? You can get really fast turnaround. You don't have to go out there and find an audience. I would say the biggest con is that, and I'll just be honest for you, it's an investment, right? You need a little bit of a budget to be able to do this, but you don't need a crazy budget, right? If you think about back in the day to run a market test, it's gonna cost you thousands and thousands of dollars for an established company to run a marketing test when it comes to their product, right? This is pennies on the dollar compared to that. So to me, it is an investment. I do have to admit that, right? It's an investment, but compared to the alternative and how it is if you're hiring a market testing company, it's like nothing, right? It's like peanuts. And that's the power of the internet, again, is really allowing us to get access to these types of tools. So number 5, what is the number 5th way when it comes to getting product and prototype feedback? So some of you might have done what I mentioned before when it comes to product document, when it comes to questions, etc. And maybe you have different ways of going about doing that. Number 5, when it comes to getting product and prototype feedback, is to use another tool to really accelerate this process and to even begin to create some really fancy graphs and charts. So I'm going to mention 2 simple tools that you can use to get prototype and product feedback. One of them is called Google Forms or Google Surveys, Google Forms, okay? Another is called Typeform. So you can use these tools, and I'll even add in another one, which is SurveyMonkey. You can use these tools to create a really effective survey, which you then distribute or send out to other people. You then can collect those responses, and depending on how you actually structure that survey. So for example, you might be doing evaluation questions between like 1 to 10, right? Or yes or no, or true and false, or open-ended questions. You can have a variety of different types of questions, which I talk about in my free course, How to Make a Product. And you can actually then send this out to people. You can get some data, which you then pull together, for example, in Excel spreadsheet, and you start to analyze that sucker. You can even put together some sample charts. So for example, what would be the median if you're having a couple of different quantitative questions there, and you're gathering different information. And number 5, again, these are a couple of quick tools. I would say the pro with doing this is it makes it really easy and simple to gather data. Which really is one of the worst pieces, I would say, of doing this process. Just being honest with you guys, like you don't want to be having a physical clipboard and like writing everything down and then transcribing that online. It's just like, it's a lot of work, dude. I'm not a fan of making things harder than they are, right? Number 6, the biggest con, again, just being honest, you got to find the audience, right? You got to actually go out there and you got to find the people that are going to do this survey. So that was kind of the negative, because you have to then use other things like social media, friends and family, in person, right? You really have to go out there or send emails. You have to really be willing to find that audience. Okay, so I'm gonna mention one more because I really want this video to be valuable for you. And if you feel like you've been getting some good value here and you like my style of teaching, the education I'm putting out there, give me a thumbs up. Let other people know. Say something kind, right, in the comments. Or something that's going to be useful for other people. Really, this is a collaborative community, right? I'm putting out this education because I want to impact the world. I want to have more people that are creating really innovative products and be able to say that they actually had inspired to be actually going out there, executing, taking action, becoming a student of the craft, investing in their education and their mindset, their training, their skills, to realize that, you know what? I actually could do this. Like all these other people, you think about human history, right? All of these other people, all these other dudes and females, right? They actually created products in their time, right? They invented new products, whether that's in the fashion and apparel or gadgets or gizmos or tabletops and games or whatever it is. They invented new things, and so can you. They're just people. There's nothing special about them, right? And I think, obviously, that's not to diminish the work that they've done, but they're human beings, and they're just going through the same process as you. So the last one I'm going to mention is really for those of you out there that have a significant budget when it comes to this. And there are different ways to spend that budget. I do recommend if you have a budget and you want to allocate it correctly, you should begin to assemble a team around this actual endeavor, because chances are you're not an expert in everything. So maybe you have an engineer, maybe you have other people like a designer, maybe you have someone like a business coach like myself, which you can hire to help you through this process, right? But number 6 is to hire a market research company. I'm going to say market R company. So their entire reason why they exist is to go out there and to get you qualitative and quantitative feedback, right? From real users, and to really get a sense of, is this a good market to go into? Is this a product you should be developing? This is what like big corporations will do, right? They're gonna hire a large market research company, pay thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to decide, is this an area of business that we actually want to go in, right? So if you're just kind of on a shoestring budget, items 1 through 5 are definitely within the realm of possibility. And this is something that I think that for anyone out there who's hesitant as well about like getting started, really easy to do these, right? If you are like serious about this, like you're dead serious, maybe you already have a business, an existing business of some kind, and you want to invest some money into actually getting, a thorough market research and evaluation, you could hire a market research company. There are a bunch of them out there. If you're interested, you can always book an individual one-on-one coaching call with me and can talk more seriously about that when it comes to bringing a new product into the world. And I can open up my Rolodex. I can share with you some really great ones that I think would be useful for you, depending on your product category, your goals, your budget, all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to a market research company, the great thing about this is that you're hiring labor, right? So you're basically hiring like an agency, a group of people who are specialized, right? So it's specialized in a team. The downside is that, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg when it comes to that, which is okay because it's an investment, right? It's an investment in really getting this product out there, growing the brand, making sure that, these people are giving you quality feedback, etc. So these are a couple of ideas that you can take action on today. If you do nothing else from watching this video, decide which of these am I going to be to attack. Am I going to start with the product document or the standardized questions? Am I going to get immediately to getting feedback on friends and family or social media? Am I going to start engaging on some different LinkedIn or social media groups, right? Am I going to maybe even do in-person feedback? And remember that I need to be courageous, right? Through this process, I need to be someone who's willing to push through obstacles and execute to get my vision of something that I want out there into the world. And not just be another person who's like, this has just been in my head for years and years and years, right? Haven't taken any action or taken a little bit of action. It's one of those cool things where it's like, oh my gosh, like it took me 4 years to actually make a decision. And it took me maybe like 2 hours to get some really good feedback on that actual product, right? So much of our time just spent in hesitancy and this weird murky gray area. And what I do as a business coach, what I do on this channel, what I do when it comes to my coaching clients and also my agency clients is I help you push through obstacles and help you get those results which you want to do. And that's really at the end of the day, and I even talk about this publicly, our company vision is to help you reach your full potential. And if we do that, we feel like, we've won when it comes to that. So go and check out these and the free course down below as well to create a product. Go and check out Feedback Jack, which is an incredible tool when it comes to getting you real-time feedback. Go and check that out as the link's in the description. But again, my name is Salvador Briggman. I am passionate about this. I am so excited to be coming out with more videos. Next week has an incredible video as well. So you've been liking this, subscribe to this channel for more regular updates. Hit that notification button so you will get a notification whenever I come out with a new video, and I will see you next time.